Hi, I am Alfonso Muchacho, and today I want to talk to you about 5 lesser known features in Ableton that I really enjoy using. I wouldn't say they're necessarily hidden features, but they're just not obvious when you look at the DAW. The menus don't really give away that these things exist. Anyway, first and foremost, as you can see in front of you here, you have an average live setup, nothing out of the ordinary. But one thing you'll notice when I hit this little button down here that you might not have, boom, look at all this. Now I can see all of these devices that you usually have down at the bottom here listed in the mixer view. So I can play this, or this, and I can drop in and out effects and I can see what's on each channel. How cool is that? Now this might be something that Cubase users will laugh at, or maybe other digital audio workstations already have in, but for some reason Live never bothered to add this feature in. And the really stupid thing is it has the ability to have it in there, as I've done it here. It's not very hard to do, and they've just neglected to add it. So how do you get all of your devices to show up just in the mixer here? Well, very simple really. You need to go into your preferences folder. So you'll have a preferences folder here. I'll put some more details on here for Mac and Windows users. And you need to create something called an options.txt. So an options file, that's a text document, and you need to have these 2 commands written in. Now this is simpler than it looks. Trust me, I believe you can do this. So you have enable arm on selection and show device slots written exactly as I have done it here. So you need to have this little fella here, and each of these words needs to be capitalized. So you add this in your preferences folder here. You need to create an options.txt. Where you need to put it, it's all here on the Ableton website. So this explains how to create an options text file, where to put it. So here you have for Windows and here you have for Mac. I'm not using a Mac, so I don't know, but I trust that it works just the same as it does on Windows. So you add that in, reload your instance of Live, and then you'll have this little button down here which enables you to toggle on and off all these fellas. So if you do a lot of your mixing in this view and you want to see what's on each channel, what plugins you've got added on, what effects, this is a really handy way of letting you do that without having to look around down here. You have it all in one view. Perfect. So the second tip that I have for regular users of Live is to do with EQ8. So we all know EQ8. It's a fantastic EQ. I think it's almost as good as any other EQ on the market, but it comes free with Live and it basically uses 0 CPU, so I use it a lot. The best thing about it, as I said, it uses very little CPU. However, it does have a few hidden features that you might not know about. So if you right click the top here, you'll see this little fella here called oversampling. Now I implore you, if you have a good enough computer, to have this on. Now I'm clearly not a mathematical genius. However, what I do know is having this on will use more CPU, but it also means that the quality of the EQ is just sounds a bit cleaner. And to my ears, it gives a lot of extra room up in the high end where you'll notice there's less harshness and allows you to dial. I feel you can dial in the control in the very top end a little bit better. There's a fantastic video made by FabFilter that I'll link in the description below, and it's all about higher sample rates and oversampling and which you should choose, what sample rate you should use in your DAW, whether you should use oversampling or not. So if you're interested in the science behind it, go watch that video. The link is below. Other than that, trust me, the thing you want to be doing is right-clicking here and turning on oversampling in your EQ8. Now the third tip that I have marries in quite nicely with the one I just explained here. What you don't want to have to do is every time you load up EQ8, like so, oh, I've got to go in and turn on oversampling. The easiest thing in the world to do is, if you have some settings that you normally go to, like I'll always cut off the low end, so I have this saved like this, is to right click here again and click Save as Default Preset. Now I won't do it because I'll overwrite my existing default preset, but what that means is every time you double click on EQ8, it will always launch with whatever you've left here and oversampling turned on. So for example, if I click on compressor, and it loads, it always loads the precise setting. It doesn't do this by default, but I have saved this as the default preset. Saves a lot of time, and it'll make sure that every time you load EQ8, your oversampling's on. So the next hidden feature is one that's so painfully obvious, but doesn't really, it's not something that I found out until very recently. When I say recently, I mean the last couple of years. I've been using Live for a very long time. So let's say we want to pan this sound to the left. No problem, we use this here. However, there is another way. If you right click on here and you select split stereo pan mode, you then get independent volume controls for each side of the sound. So what I can do is I can turn left all the way to the left, or I can bring left more to the center, or I can bring left all the way over to the right. And what that is very useful for doing is, if you've got something panned hard left, normally it'll be all the way over here. But if you just want to increase the volume on the right side slightly, you can dial it in very precisely with this. So you're not stuck crossfading between the two. You can get very precise adjustments between the panning. When I'm really dialing in precise adjustments, when I just want something moved slightly to the left and I think, yeah, it's great that it's all the way over to the left, but I just need a little bit more on the right and I don't want to lose what I've panned over to the left, I find this is a really useful way of dialing in some exact measurements. My final tip, and I'm really trying to keep these short, I'm doing well, shorter videos is what we're going for. Now, this one is something that might interest you if you've got a small screen, you want to get a little bit extra real estate. You know this fella up here, the overview bar. I've never used that in my life. I don't even know why. Whoever scrolls around looking at this, not me. But there is a way of turning it off, and this is so obvious. I know it's going to seem like not a hidden feature at all, but view, overview, Control Alt plus O on Windows, boom, it's gone. Look at that. I've saved a centimeter. That is my favorite tip of all. You're welcome.